What's up, vinyl community? It's your boy Chris coming at you live, as always, from the Man Cave, early on a Friday afternoon, if you will, early Friday evening. I wanted to take some time to do a quick video for you guys and talk to you guys about a brick and mortar shop out in Albuquerque, New Mexico, by the name of SloLow Vinyl Records. Obviously, I've never been there. South Carolina boy like myself. Most of the shops that you guys have seen me visit have been North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, which because of my schedule and everything like that has been my lane. But it's always been goals of mine to visit so many of these shops all across the country and all across the world, really, while we're at it. And I follow so many of them on Instagram and social media, hoping that maybe one of these days I get a chance to visit in person, and SloLow is one of them. I had bought vinyl on Instagram from SloLow Vinyl Records before. Hootin' Tootin' Fred Jackson original mono pressing on Blue Note was my first, and it was something that was linked to me by Dylan Noble Records. It just Instagrammed me, DM'd me one day, and just that they had it for sale, and it was immaculate. It is immaculate condition, and I love it. It's one of my favorite pieces in my collection now, and the guys were just so awesome to deal with, and are so awesome to deal with. I believe Dylan may have actually been in person, but anyway, SloLow Vinyl Records, the guys that own the place, had recently, and by recently meaning in the last 2 or 3 months, had stumbled across a huge, like jazz, soul, like funk, and like collection. I think even from like a full-blown record store in Colorado. They had rode up, U-Haul style, had grabbed everything in the inventory, and so they were talking about pallets upon pallets upon pallets of records, and I think they're probably still going through them. But what they've been doing ever since, especially in this time of pandemic and everything like that, to get the word out, keep making money, keep making sales, keep everybody interested, is every Thursday and Friday at 2 o'clock Eastern time, so that'd be noon their time, in Albuquerque, New Mexico. They've been dropping 30 records every Thursday and Friday, and then sometimes on Sunday, I think it was either Saturday night or Sunday, they drop more via their stories on Instagram. And guys, I've spent a shitload of money through these guys in the past couple of months. So what I want to do is show you what I've bought from them that I currently have in my collection, because I just bought 2 earlier today. So they're not here yet, and I could have waited, but I could always do a part 2 of this video, because something tells me I'm going to be buying from these guys for a while, because they haven't even scratched the surface of all the wonderful and amazing records that they've got. So without further ado, guys, again, SloLow Vinyl Records, Albuquerque, New Mexico. If you haven't heard about them, you haven't done your research, if you live anywhere in New Mexico, anywhere in the area, you got to get them in your life. Don't jump on it. Just saying. So first up, I want to show one. I think it was actually the first one that I had scored. And they're big, people are all over this thing on Instagram, guys. People are, as soon as they post their albums, bam, bam, bam. They post 10 albums, post the condition, post the pressing, everything like that, and the price. And the first person who DMs them about it gets it. So I had a rough time at first scoring, especially since they were posting so many of them while I was at work. But grooving with the Chet Baker Quintet, the very first one I ever got lucky on. And then I got a rhythm. Got better at it, but that's Blue Trident label. It's a beautiful press. It's amazing stuff. Chet Baker on flugelhorn, George Coleman on tenor, Kurt Lightly on piano, Herman Wright on bass, and Roy Brooks on the sticks. I love it. Next up, Yusef Lateef, Into Something. I love Yusef Lateef. You guys have heard me sing his praises probably for as long as I've talked about jazz vinyl on my channel, which is a couple years. I love Yusef Lateef. In my opinion, one of the most talented multi-instrumentalists in the history of not only jazz music, but popular music in general. Him, Eric Dolphy, I hold these guys basically in the same esteem, if you will. But it's new jazz. You guys know how I feel about new jazz. Splat out. So that's original mono. And that's Yusef Lateef on tenor, flute, and oboe. Barry Harris on piano. Herman Wright on bass, and Ellington Jones on the sticks, guys. It's phenomenal. Next up, big stuff, Gil Evans, in band, new jazz. 8215. This is I think a second pressing of this album. The original pressing of the album is on Prestige, and I think it's called Gil Evans Plus 11, I think. But the cover of that album is just Gil's face. I much prefer, I should say, this cover of the album. I don't know what it is, but it's just a little different. Very simple. Sometimes simple is just better. And I just really dig the cover of this album, and I prefer it to the original, the very first on Prestige. So this is going to make this a second on New Jazz. And then, of course, the more purple New Jazz labels you can have in your collection, let's just call it what it is, the better. But as you guys can see, huge lineup, huge band here. Gil Evans, Steve Lacy, Jimmy Cleveland, Louis Mucci, Jake Coven, Bart Barcelona, Willie Ruff, Zeke Tolan, Dave Kurtzer, Paul Chambers on bass, Nick Stabulus. I mean, it's just, wow. So it's basically big band. Nothing basically about it. It's big band type jazz, which every now and then is fine by me. But great score on New Jazz. Next up was one that I was so thrilled. It's the first one I can say that I nabbed from them that I was absolutely thrilled to nab. And it's Booker Ervin, the Songbook. Because, guys, the more Booker Ervin you have in your collection, the better. A lot of you guys, I'm going to do a video about, some of these guys some days, but, everybody, talks about Coltrane and Joe Henderson and Sonny Rollins. Everybody talks about those guys, and then they're your unsung heroes, if you will, of the sax. And for me, Texas-born Booker Ervin is just one of those ones that you need to know about. People need to know about this guy. He is phenomenal. He was, just an all-time sax god, in my opinion, and in the opinion of pretty much anybody who's ever heard of him. So it's my goal to own every Booker Ervin release ever, preferably in original format, as you guys I'm sure could guess. What you got here, you got the pretty rare black Prestige label. As you can see, super sturdy vinyl. It's original stereo. But, damn, what a phenomenal album this is. Booker Ervin on tenor, Tommy Flanagan on piano, Richard Davis on bass, and Alan Dawson on the sticks. Guys, if you're not familiar with Booker Ervin, you got to get him into your life, trust me. And you're welcome in advance. Cheers to all of you on this Friday afternoon. Next up, probably the second one that I got from them that I was just absolutely, oh my God, thrilled to nab. And because I love Joe Henderson. Top 5 all time on his instrument. And maybe top 3. But I'll go with top 5 for now, just to leave out a couple of possible brain farts or whatever. But let's start with top 5. Joe Henderson Quartet, Tetragon. It's on Milestone. Guys, for any of you who think that the great Joe Henderson's legendary creative output ends with Blue Note Records, shame on you. These Milestone albums are not only substantially cheaper than the Blue Note albums, especially, I'm mostly referring to original format, but they are so good. The quality is so good. Milestone, wonderful stuff. It's a promo copy, as you guys can see. Joe Henderson on tenor, Don Friedman or Kenny Barron on piano, Ron Carter on bass, or probably top 2 or 3 bassists who ever lived. Jack DeJohnette or Louis Haynes on the sticks. It is freaking phenomenal, guys. I can't even begin to tell you how much I love Joe Henderson's Milestone output. If you see it, you know what to do. You're welcome in advance. Next up, I don't keep very much vocal style jazz in my collection. I have a few, and the ones that I keep are ones that I just truly love. And this was one that, let's just call it one of the world's first rappers, Gil Scott-Heron, just a poet. If there was somebody who was ever just born to be a poet and to be an advocate and to be a messenger, to be a leader, this guy, Gil Scott-Heron, was. And this album is Free Will, and it's on Flying Dutchman. anything you can get on Flying Dutchman is automatically fire. Just to let you know, that white Flying Dutchman label. Let's dig a little deeper on this release, guys, because I know not so many of you are going to know about Flying Dutchman. It's that gatefold, great stuff, produced by Bob Thiel. And for a lot of you guys who may not know who Bob Thiel is, Bob Thiel was, of course, involved with the upstart of Impulse Records. Later went on, Flying Dutchman, other things, so no doubt had some input, whatever, on the gatefold, things like that. Guys, this is not Gil Scott-Heron's most well-known album, but it might be his second most well-known album. But I'm here to tell you guys, there's great music on Gil Scott-Heron's Free Will, and I was very, very thrilled to nab a copy. Next up was one that I choose to nab from SloLow as an upgrade to the copy I had in my collection. The copy I had in my collection was a Netherlands pressing, and it served me well. It was completely clean. I think I had gotten it from Dylan at Noble Records years ago, because it's been a while, guys. It's one of the very first jazz records I nabbed, but it served me completely well, and I'd always looked for an original. Every time I came on one, it was either A, overpriced at the moment, or B, the condition was beat and the seller still wanted too much. So what I had been looking for was, for the short term, was an audiophile style upgrade, and I got it in this one. So it's Duke Ellington and John Coltrane on Impulse, Japanese press, as you guys can see, by the OBI or OBI, however you want to say it. It's a 200 gram, so super sturdy vinyl. Very sturdy, awesome record. You guys, no doubt, know plenty about this one, but it is just two all-time immortal jazz giants at the, I dare say, peak of their careers, at the peak of their talents. You can make an argument for Ellington as having, the greatest career in the history of jazz. You can make that argument. Absolutely. And then for Coltrane, well, the man's a god. So, you got the two of them on one record. And the results are magic. If you don't have it, get yourself a copy. Get the best sounding copy you can get, damn it, because you're gonna love this. You're gonna want to turn this shit up loud with a drink and just bathe, if you will, just in the talents of two immortal jazz gods. I can't recommend it any better than that, I don't think. Next up was one that I didn't have, had been looking at for years. Finally saw a perfect opportunity, Coltrane live at Birdland. And it's original mono. And not only is it original mono, but it's super clean. Original mono, you guys know with Impulse, you know what you want to see. If I can grab it. You guys hear that? It's like this has only been opened a couple times. Coltrane live at Birdland. John Coltrane on tenor and soprano. McCoy Tyner on piano. Jimmy Garrison on bass and Elvin Jones on sticks. It's Coltrane on Impulse. I don't know what all needs to be said other than that, but if I have to sell you further than that, then this might not be the channel for you, or maybe you need to ask more questions. But if you're getting into jazz, just buy all the Coltrane. Just buy all the Coltrane. You won't regret it. And this is just one of those ones that's just, like all Coltrane, it's phenomenal. Next up, Solar, Red Garland Quartet. It's on Jazzland. And what's so cool about this one, aside from the great and legendary top three, in my opinion, favorite jazz pianist of all time, Red Garland. What's so wonderful about this one is it's my first and only Jazzland white label promo. Splat out. And it's super clean copy, as you guys could tell. But Red Garland on piano, Les Spahn on guitar, Sam Jones on bass, and Frank Gant on the sticks. It is an absolutely remarkable album. One that unfortunately I've yet to have time to throw on this table, so I'm going to try my best to do that tonight. But man, I can't even begin to tell you any Red Garland you can get. Next up, another I was thrilled to nail in an auction. One of those ones where I had arrived to the auction late, expecting to find nothing, because I arrived late to the auction. Busy night. I'd forgotten even what day of the week it was, so I'd arrived late. And while I arrived there, expecting to find nothing, I'm expecting all the good stuff to be gone. But what I wasn't thinking of is the fact that so many people just go for what they know. You know, Coltrane, Miles Davis, Gil Evans. You know, you blue note guys, shorter. You know, you big guys, Henderson. But I wasn't taking into account that not your average jazz mind isn't paying that much attention to Don Cherry. And Don Cherry is a free jazz god. He's immortal. He's one of my absolute favorites. And this album, this Complete Communion album, had been one that I had on my radar for a few years now. It's one that I never saw around or on eBay hardly, or Discogs or anything. If I did, it was beat. So I found this one. It's super, super clean condition. Original monitor pressing. Splat out, and I could not be happier to have it. Don Cherry on cornet, Leandro Gato Barbieri on tenor, Henry Grimes on bass, and Edward Blackwell on the drums. Clean, immaculate album. I flat out love it. I recommend it to anybody, especially anybody who's been maybe a bop fan for years, a hard bop or modal jazz type fan for years, who was looking to branch out to that next level and discover what that next step is. That's a good intro. I'd highly recommend it. Dive into that. Next up, this is one I've wanted for years. I want an original copy, and I will have an original copy. But for now, just finding this one from a retailer that I trust in absolutely phenomenal condition was enough for now. It's Night Dreamer by Wayne Shorter, my buddy Jason White. I don't know if any of you guys have met Jason yet. Jason from the Jazz Basement, new channel, awesome guy from DC, wonderful, wonderful guy, wonderful friend. Had originally scored had scored, recently. That's the word I was looking for. An original, I think mono. It was either mono. I think it was a mono copy. This one, I'm jealous as hell. I am, but this is super clean. It's that blue label with the white B that you guys have no doubt seen plenty of. Good news about it is super clean, substantially cheaper, of course, than the original pressing. But damn, I want one. But it's guys, it's Wayne Shorter, it's Lee Morgan, Reginald Workman, and Ervin Jones. That's all you need to know. Wayne Shorter, one of the great musicians in the history of music, especially jazz. Get it into your life. Next up, another one that I've wanted again for years. I think I got two more records to show you guys. First one, Today and Tomorrow, McCoy Tyner. This original stereo on Impulse. Of course, as you guys no doubt figured. Splat out, wonderful stuff. Go ahead, with Impulse, you know what I have to do next. You know I have to show you the gorgeous gatefold. Man, what a beautiful release. No splits, no seams, no problems. Oh boy. McCoy, of course, on the keys. Thad Jones on trumpet. Frank Strozier on alto sax. John Gilmore on tenor. Butch Warren and Jimmy Garrison on bass, and Elvin Jones and Tootie Heath on the sticks. Guys, what a record. The great McCoy Tyner, of course, just a part of this not too long ago, I think within the last 6 months. And all of a sudden, a lot of attention has come. There's been a lot of Blue Note reissues, a lot of Blue Note 80s, the Classic series, the Tone Poet series. Guys, for those of you who are jazzing on a budget, Tonto, jump on those. Get on those classic reissues. Get on those Tone Poet reissues. Learn something about the music of the man who used to play piano for John Coltrane. I hope I don't have to tell you anything other than that if you didn't already know anything about McCoy Tyner. True genius. True genius and a personal top 3 or 4 favorite all-time pianist of mine. Hands down, landslide, slam dunk. I mean, my favorite's Monk. My second favorite is Silver. After that, it's really boiling down to 2 or 3 guys, and he's in the group. He's definitely in that group. And then finally, my favorite record from the one that I was most thrilled to land in this entire stack of records that I just showed you guys from SloLow Vinyl Records in Albuquerque, New Mexico. It's one that just like once a week, just put in an eBay search or something, just looking for it, hoping to find a deal, hoping to find a great copy at a good price. And just, for lack of better words, just kept striking out or kept missing out or whatever you want to call it. But thanks to SloLow Vinyl Records, I have In Orbit by Clark Terry with Thelonious Monk on Riverside. Splat out. You guys can see it's a mono copy. It's beautiful. Clark Terry on flugelhorn, Thelonious Monk on the keys, Sam Jones on bass, Philly Joe Jones on sticks. New York, May 7th and 12th, 1958. I have I'll get back to it real quick. I have wanted a copy of this album for so damn long. And thanks to SloLow Vinyl Records in Albuquerque, New Mexico, I have it. And I got to tell you guys, for any of you locals, for anybody from New Mexico, if you've never heard of SloLow Vinyl Records and you're a vinyl collector, please stop in. From anybody from a couple states over who can afford to do a road trip, please stop in. For anybody listening to me, here's my voice right now, who has an Instagram account, Thursdays and Fridays, 2 o'clock Eastern Time, they do their sales. I'll realize I'm probably competition. Yeah, I'm really probably creating competition against myself on those Thursday and Friday drops. But this is a store that deserves to be known about, to be heard about. And get in on those, because these guys are awesome. They'll work with you. They're great. I don't know what else to say other than that. So thank you, SloLow Vinyl Records, for all of these records I've just shown, as well as the 2 records that I just bought today. No doubt the weekend's not over yet. I'm sure I'll buy more. Thank you guys. I look forward to buying records from you guys for years to come, and I look forward to visiting your shop in person someday. Hopefully it'll happen. A good old country South Carolina boy like me can only aspire. We'll see what happens. But hope everybody has a great weekend filled with great music, good drinks, great company, wonderful family, wonderful friends, and hopefully not so much damn work. So, until next time, until next video, keep dropping that in, you guys.